Hello and greetings, beautiful people. Happy Friday the 13th. I just realized that when I was recording for the first time, when I forgot I didn't have everything plugged in. I'm participating in a virtual conference this weekend, which I am not sure why they feel the need to have these conferences be 10 and 12-hour days. We started at 4 last night, and I thought we'd be done by 9, and it didn't get done until like 11, and I have to be back on in 45 minutes. So they gave us like 9 or 10 hours off, and we don't get to meet virtually, of course. We don't get to meet the reason I joined this event until like 7 o'clock tonight, one of my mentors. So it's going to be a long day, but it's Friday the 13th, so what can go wrong, right? Before I jump into today's reading, I do want to mention tomorrow we have a couple little announcements. We're going to be in celebrating mode this weekend, although I already thought today was Saturday, so I'm already messed up. But we're going to talk about some fun stuff tomorrow, so please come back tomorrow and get caught up on winning and having fun with us tomorrow. Okay, Charles W. Eliot says, the best way to secure future happiness is to be as happy as it is rightfully possible today. How many of us have let today slip through our fingers because we were busy worrying about tomorrow? Maybe we thought that learning how to live for today was irresponsible, but it's not. In learning how to put our best foot forward and enjoy the pleasures of the present moment, we learn that worrying about the uncertainties of tomorrow is of little value. There are many more todays than tomorrows. That's very profound. There are many more todays than tomorrows. And to miss experiencing one moment is to miss our lives. This is a hard lesson to learn, but in recovery, we see the importance of living one day at a time. Slowly but surely, the uncertainty of the future seems less important than it used to be. By learning to be the best we can be right now, we can accept whatever life throws our way with serenity. Our higher power never gives us more than we can handle. Today, let me be present and trust that tomorrow will take care of itself. Wow. On Wednesday, I don't know if I told you guys about this, but on Wednesday, I'm in one of my groups, and I have some commitments already into next year with travel and things. And then there's the timing of when I want to move out of my apartment, when I want to get the RV. Like, I have kind of this timeline drawn out in my head. Now, I understand that everything is contingent on COVID and the world we live in. You know, is there a vaccine? Can we travel? All those things. But I'm in this group, and I fully intend on going on a trip. It's with the other dozen or so authors that are co-authoring a book with me, or I'm co-authoring a book with them, however we want to look at it. There's a group of us that are writing this freaking incredible book, and we're going to go to France. That's where one of the ladies in the group lives, and she's customizing a tour for us to celebrate like finishing the book, and then for us to get to know each other personally, aside from in a computer chat room. And when she announced the dates, I had this reaction that was, oh my God, it was horrible. It was just as if I referred to, I don't like the words bad behavior, but essentially having attitude, like thinking like someone who's in active addiction thinks. And this kind of happened to me when she was making the announcement about the trip and the timeline. I'd like to think that I work on my recovery enough every day that I'm like, okay, so the date alignment might be challenging, but there's so many variables. Like Logic Bobby knows that, who knows? Our trip may get dictated by governments and by the pandemic and all these things. Instead, I had this reaction like an almost like I don't know if it was a control or a stress or a whatever, but I got very, very self-centered, very, very like, frustrated that I had no control over the dates. And I was aware of it, but I couldn't stop it. I was getting so frustrated. And it sounds silly, and I still feel like it's silly. And the way that my counselor broke it down to me was, like I have this vision of a timeline in my head. And she actually described, how a timeline looks with the little tick marks and stuff. And she's like, well, someone just kind of shortened your timeline. And she's like, you just need to stretch it back out again. And she reminded me, so much of this is out of my control. So even as someone who preaches about these things, I want you to know some days I struggle with it too. And it's something that's so far in the future that it kind of goes against, what this reading is saying anyway about living for today. I'm fortunate that it didn't like ruin my day or my mood for the day. It just was like a speed bump. And I will, I'll get over it. And of course, I'll keep you posted on how all that plans out. I don't want to be like this first sentence. How many of us have let today slip through our fingers because we were too busy worrying about tomorrow? That's why this example just like totally jumped in my head. I guess the responsibility part of me and the planner part of me likes to think about tomorrow. I think as a general rule, though, I'm pretty good at living in today and in the moment, and maybe even being a little spontaneous. I mean, my road trip it wasn't like I was thinking about that 8 months in advance, like this France trip. I just basically said pretty close to the last week I was leaving my job, okay, well, now I got time. Let me go on this road trip because it solves these problems, which was everything from connection to listening to my content and my books and my mentors that I wanted to listen to on the road, to sightseeing and getting photos of beautiful places on my social media. The reason I tell you guys about how I live my everyday life is because I get messages and communications all the time from people. They'll say, I wish I could do that, or it's inspiring to see you do that. They say things that tell me that they want to be able to do that. And I'm here to tell you, you can do that. You can do anything that you want to. It's a series of choices. And living to learn in today is one of those choices, and to fully appreciate today. And this year especially, like, take a look around. Like, there's you just should not risk tomorrow, right? Like, in a normal world, in a normal day and age, we shouldn't risk tomorrow, but it's even that much more. So why I tell you this and why I share with you how I take care of myself and how I fight the voices in my head that want to be the old voices that are negative Nillies and that I can't and I shouldn't and all those things. I want to arm you so that you can combat your voices and start living, I don't want to say the way I do, but the way I go through life, knowing that it's too short, and that I've said this before. I'm not sure if I've ever said it on the show, but if I died tomorrow, I don't have any regrets. I just don't. I've apologized and I've owned any of my out of character behaviors when I was actively gambling or drinking. I live for today and make the best of it. I choose where I want to be, who I spend my time with. I make good use of my time. I'm not in front of the television all the time, just wasting away minutes that I could be outside in the fresh air or reading a new book or learning something new or connecting with an old friend. Like, I just don't choose to live that way. And the way I live is possible for everyone. And I think that you have to want it. I mean, you really do. Some people, unfortunately, are addicted to misery and drama and chaos and don't know how to live without it. But do you really want to be happy from the inside out? Once you make that decision, this is one of the principles that you should apply to help you achieve that happiness and that fulfillment. By learning to be the best we can be right now, we can accept whatever life throws our way with serenity. And that's another piece of it, right? Like, we can take note. Is it really that bad? Like, is it really that bad that there's conflict in my travel schedule? Seriously. Like, and that was part of the emotional feeling roller coaster that I kind of went on yesterday. Was like, wait a minute, you're mad over this? So then I got mad at myself for being mad over it or not experiencing it well. And then I started to judge myself for having these emotions. And luckily I'm like, okay, I have the counselor and I have my own mind that knows better to talk myself out of those things. So that's how I feel about that. I mean, we've been spending a lot of time talking about happiness lately, and it must be a reason that this book puts all this thing so close to the holidays, right? It's pretty difficult sometimes with all the hustle and bustle and stress of the holidays to stay happy and to not get lost in all the chaos, whether it's how we're choosing to eat, how we're choosing to spend our time, how it is going in public to shop and to deal with people. I mean, there's a lot of things that could set us up to have little mini meltdowns like I did yesterday. So what are we doing to combat those? That's what I want you thinking about today on Friday the 13th. That's still cracking me up because usually I know they're coming. I kind of look forward to them to test the day to see what can kind of go wrong. I don't know if I'm 100% superstitious, but it's always fun to kind of challenge superstition and see what happens. I mean, I'm not going to run around and break some mirrors today, but I will be observant. And here's the thing too, right? And maybe this is why I don't ever think of Friday the 13th as bad, is because it goes back to that perspective. If it happened and it wasn't something that maybe was our first desire or how we want things to go our way, I believe now that all that stuff happens for a reason. So seriously, there could never be a horrific Friday the 13th. I'm trying to train my brain to look for all the good. So maybe it doesn't even see the little speed bumps that life can give us on a Friday the 13th. So that's my thoughts on that, my beautiful people. All right. Don't forget to join us tomorrow so I can share and celebrate with you a couple little successes. And we have so many announcements coming up. We are going to have this. You'll understand why I'm so behind in the day-to-day, because I am doing a little focusing on the future. And 2021 is just going to be my most, I don't know, I guess this year was my most developmental and life-changing, really, and changing my life. And 2021 is where we've come up with so many ideas and such a strategy to be able to impact other people's lives in a really big way. And I'm just really excited for that. So, lots of big things coming up, guys, but I will keep you posted. I hope everyone has a fabulous weekend. Again, I am sorry for not having a full interview today. I will get back on that horse. Once I get past this conference, I am back to full blown working and trying to get back to my normal routine. So I'm giving myself some grace, right? I know you'll forgive me because you love me like I love you. It's all good. All right, beautiful people. Take care. And you're well understood.